On April 12, 1912, the Royal Mail steamer Titanic was recorded for the final time while still upon the ocean's surface. The occasion occurred near Crosshaven, Ireland. The vessel had just departed Queenstown, its last port of call, before commencing the westward journey across the Atlantic towards New York City. Within 3 days of that moment, the Titanic would rest on the floor of the North Atlantic Ocean. 1,514 souls would perish following a collision with an iceberg, marking one of history's most severe peacetime maritime disasters. The final documentation of the ship afloat was made by Francis Brown, an Irish Jesuit priest. He had journeyed aboard the Titanic for the initial of its voyage, traveling from Southampton in England to Queenstown, Ireland. During his time on board, Brown formed a friendship with a wealthy family who offered him passage for the entire transatlantic crossing. Upon arriving in Queenstown, however, Brown received instructions from his clerical superior. The message ordered his immediate return to his duties, preventing him from continuing the journey with the Titanic. The Titanic was widely regarded as practically unsinkable. Its construction incorporated features intended to maintain buoyancy, even if the hull sustained breaches leading to internal flooding. The safety design centered on 15 transverse watertight bulkheads dividing the hull, each fitted with watertight doors. In an emergency, these doors could be sealed automatically. A critical design limitation existed. The compartments created by the bulkheads were not independently sealed at the top. Water overflowing one bulkhead could spill into the next. Designers had not anticipated a scenario where water levels would exceed the height of the bulkheads, as all bulkheads extended well above the ship's standard waterline. Subsequent analysis strongly suggests that the iceberg impact created damage spanning approximately 300 feet along the forward starboard side. Such extensive breaching allowed seawater to rush in, overwhelming 6 of the 16 watertight compartments. The Titanic's structure could withstand flooding in 3, possibly 4, compartments. As seawater filled the breached forward sections and rose above the bulkhead tops, it cascaded into adjacent compartments. The progressive flooding added immense weight to the bow, pulling it deeper into the water. Eventually, the structural stresses became too great, and the vessel foundered. An interesting detail concerns the ship's fourth funnel. While appearing identical to the other 3, it did not serve to exhaust smoke from the boiler rooms. Its actual function was supplementary, providing ventilation shafts for the engine rooms and venting for the ship's galleys. Nevertheless, ventilation could have been achieved differently. The inclusion of a fourth funnel was primarily an aesthetic choice. The designers believed 4 funnels lent the ship a grander, more impressive appearance than 3. Following the directive from his superior, Father Francis Brown disembarked the Titanic at Queenstown on April 11, 1912, taking with him the documentation he had created during his short voyage. His collection provided a unique record of life aboard the liner during its initial days at sea. Queenstown represented the final opportunity for passengers to board the Titanic. Many Irish emigrants seeking new lives in America joined the vessel there, ferried out by the tenders Ireland and America. For those embarking, it was a moment filled with anticipation and hope, unaware of the limited time remaining in the ship's journey. The departure from Queenstown marked the beginning of the Titanic's uninterrupted passage into the vast North Atlantic. Just over 72 hours after Brown captured the vessel receding from the Irish coast, the liner's forward momentum would carry it into its fatal encounter with the Iceberg, far from any shore. The documentation secured by Brown gained immense historical significance, offering a poignant glimpse of the ship and its occupants in the days immediately preceding the catastrophe. His departure, compelled by duty, inadvertently preserved these final moments of the Titanic above the waves. Father Brown, having returned to his duties as ordered, stored the negatives from his voyage. These records remained largely unseen for many decades after the disaster. The moments captured by Brown near Crosshaven on April 12, 1912, therefore represent the final documented visual trace of the Titanic as an active vessel upon the water's surface. It sailed onward from Queenstown carrying over 2,200 individuals. Among those individuals were passengers from all walks of life, including prominent figures like John Jacob Astor IV and Benjamin Guggenheim, alongside hundreds of third-class passengers heading towards aspirations in the United States. The stop at Queenstown added 123 passengers, the last group to board. For the next 2 days, the Titanic proceeded westward across the Atlantic. Ship life continued with its routines, unaware of the precise nature of the danger lurking in the cold waters ahead. The serene departure from Ireland, frozen in time by Brown's lens, stands in stark contrast to the chaos and tragedy that would unfold late on the night of April 14th, transitioning into the early morning of April 15th, 1912. During the subsequent 2 days, April 13th and 14th, the Titanic received multiple wireless messages warning of ice fields along its projected route. Transmission delays and operator priorities meant not all warnings reached the bridge command effectively. The sea conditions on the night of Sunday, April 14th, were unusually calm, described by survivors as like polished glass. While seemingly peaceful, such stillness made spotting icebergs, which often reveal themselves by waves breaking at their base, much more difficult. Adding to the challenge was the exceptionally cold, clear night air, known to create optical phenomena like mirages, potentially distorting the appearance of distant objects or the horizon itself. Lookouts were hampered further by the absence of binoculars for their post. Around 11:40 p.m. ship's time on April 14th, the fatal encounter occurred. The iceberg was sighted too late to avoid contact, leading to the underwater damage along the starboard hull. The sequence of events following the collision, the assessment of damage, the gradual flooding, the launching of lifeboats, stood in grim opposition to the powerful image of the intact vessel steaming away from Ireland just days before. The documentation made by Father Brown on April 12th thus captures the liner in its final hours of normalcy, unaware of the precise fate awaiting it in the icy darkness ahead. It serves as a historical marker, separating the uneventful early leg of the voyage from the disaster that defined its end.